All right, hey everybody. Today we're going to go over the Alien Week Roundtable. This is an hour-long video that I'm going to condense down, cut out all the BS that the devs like to throw in there, and just give you the straight answers if they avoid the question or not, or what they actually say. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So, first question, when will we find out more about the Kurthak? Pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but their answer was eventually, and then they gave a long-winded answer about that they just simply aren't going to tell us. And the only information they would give is that they're on the other side of the Xian Empire, and they were locked in a war with the Xian, which is information we already knew. So they just avoided that question. Next question, number 2. Are the Karthak the cat people from Wing Commander? They didn't give an answer. They immediately diverted the question and went to talking about what First Contact Day is, which was not mentioned in the question at all. Number 3, what about species on developing worlds? They went ahead and told us what developing worlds are in their mind. Developing worlds are inhabited by self-aware species who use tools that will one day join us in the stars. Okay, that sounds cool. They're protected by the UE Fair Chance Act, and for those who don't know, that basically means nobody is allowed to settle on these worlds or claim these worlds. And they told us that a race called the Osans communicate via color displays like cuttlefish. So that's all the information they gave on that question. Next, thoughts on Vandal NPCs? Well, they said watch out for them. You know, there possibly could be humans that trade with Vandal, but good luck trying to and bring your armor. They did also say different Vandal clans will have different interactions with humans, and that it's not just a blanket war, I hate humans. Some may be different and be able to interact in different ways. That sounds really interesting. That sounds like cool gameplay, but again, these are lore designers, not gameplay designers. Number 5, since all alien races are humanoid, how are they different? How do they make them different? Well, they're bipedal, not humanoid, one of the developers said. They change how they survive in temperature and different environments, another developer said. A different developer said it's the changes in their temperaments and ideology based on their traits. So that sounds interesting. They're basically giving them all different personalities, and they talked about how the Xian have longer symphonies and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Next, do Banu use ground vehicles? They said yes, probably. They use anything useful. However, when they went into talking about flushing out ground vehicles for aliens, they went in this long thing about not having the development time and things like that, which makes total sense. It's going to be difficult to flush out all this stuff, but that is part of what Star Citizen is that high detail and fidelity. It's going to be really weird to go to a Banu home planet and they're driving around in Ursus. So we'll see. All right, number 7. Any alien musical instruments planned? They talked about alien food instead, saying that's easier to implement, but they did come back and say, yes, down the road, there's probably going to be alien instruments because there will be alien music. However, the Banu didn't have music, really any music culture before the humans, so they took a lot of their music culture from the humans. Number 8. Tell us about the Tavares that serve in the UE Navy. And they said, actually, the first Tavares senator was a UE Navy, in the UE Navy. And many Tavares like to join the UE Navy as they see it as a way to climb the status ladder. However, Tavares are split between doing their part for the UE, resurrecting the old ways, and a third group who just doesn't care either way, they just want to exist. So that's kind of an interesting little piece on where the Tavares are. Number 9. Humanity made contact with humans 5 jumps away, and there's lots of lore to suggest that the Banu must have known about human space before the first contact. Why did the Banu not colonize anywhere in UE space? So basically the question was, and the Banu territory is on each side of the humans. How they had to go through the human area. How did they not know about us, and why didn't they colonize those areas? And their simple answer was any Banu that knew the answer is dead, so you're not going to know. So that was a short, simple, and really abrupt way to say we're just simply not going to tell you. Next up, how do you limit lore you write to be possible to create in game? And they said good communication and brainstorming. Another developer said it seems like it will have if it will have gameplay or any gameplay elements, they try to either make it extremely cryptic and vague, or they reach out to the design team and see if this is something that is possible down the line and in the future. Number 11, how did the Banu have criminal records if they don't keep any form of written records? Well, they said the Banu make contracts with security companies, and those contracts are valid until, initially they said until the person is killed, but then they changed it and said until the Banu that created the contract dies off, since these are more personal vendettas and the greater Banu as a whole don't really care. Number 12, if the Xian were not at the top of their food chain, how did they come around to becoming the top? Well, the answer was they banded together and created tools once self-aware and got rid of any non-self-aware apex predators. Simple answer, makes sense. Number 13, how did humans communicate with the Banu during first contact? Real short answer, very long and odd process. Number 14, how will alien languages be integrated into the game? They said they're pretty much already doing this. There's signs and art in the world. And they also went on to say they don't want to punish people for not learning an alien language, but they want to make it fun for those who do. So they mentioned maybe having a sign in a cave or writing on a cave that will take you down a different path that might be shorter or something along those lines. But they don't want to punish people for not having the time to learn an entire language in a video game. Number 15, any info on Jerry from First Contact? And they said no additional info, possibly more in the future, but they're not really sure. Number 16, how did the Banu get to trade with the Vandal? And they simply said they will not tell us because they don't want us to be able to trade with the Vandal. It's a very closely guarded secret for the Vandal, and if we were to find out, it would affect their income, and being a trade race, they don't want that. All right, number 17. Do the Tavares speak their language, or do they speak UEE standard? Well, they said some outside the UEE do, but there is also a possible resurgence in the culture for this. Many younger Tavares may seem to want to connect with their old culture. However, as a greater UEE race in the UEE, they just speak UEE standard for the most part. All right, number 18, we're getting to the end here. Do you plan to flesh out multiple religions for each race? Jared changes the question pretty much immediately to how do you not go down the rabbit hole? Seems like he doesn't want this answered. However, they do kind of get back to it, saying that they need to limit it for development's sake because they can only develop so much. However, they did say they get the flavor and then move forward from there. So basically not much information, but the question was diverted pretty quickly. Number 19. Will developing aliens have cities and their own forms of transportation? The developers went on to say they're not sure because when this was initially developed, this idea, planets weren't really a thing, but now that they are and there's all this fidelity, it would be really difficult to develop entire towns or planets and vehicle systems for developing races that are in their version of, say, the 1800s. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see where that goes. Number 20. Were the Xian actually a threat during the Cold War, or was this just complete messer propaganda? They went on to say it's really just a little bit of both. They didn't give much context here, but it sounds like the Xian were a threat and then the messers over-exaggerated it from my point of view. All right, last question, 21. In the 2950s elections, what are the candidates' feelings on the Tavares treatment? And they went on to say that it varies, but for the most part, many of the candidates want to integrate the Tavares better into the Empire, really get them in there, and they're just like another race that is there all the time. So those are the 21 questions that came out of this hour-long panel with the developers. I'm going to be covering more stuff like this on my channel all the time, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Let me know what you think about the way they did it. What do you think about them diverting questions, or what questions did you want actually answered? You know, let's get some conversation in the comments below and really make this fun for everyone. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.